One thing I have to say about the video is none of the footage is of me playing Invoker. I'll get into the reason for that. Invoker is the master magician. He knows the universe and what it is made of. The facts are there, available for those with the right mind. There is nobody else who can grasp the powers that Invoker can. Invoker is a real word for calling on a specific idea. The key syllable is the middle one, which stems from the word vocal. Invoker speaks his power into being, summoning and conjuring magical spells by knowing the right things to say at the right time. Explaining exactly how Invoker functions comes with its own difficulties. Crafting this explanation took more than a few minutes of reasoning. Invoker commands up to 3 orbs at the same time out of 3 possible types of orb, each orb granting Invoker new powers according to how many of each orb is within his total 3. The orbs are the elements of ice, storm, and fire, or as Invoker knows and calls these elements, quas, wex, and exhort, their proper magical names, which he must say out loud to invoke their power. In this series, I like to explore any of a hero's abilities in as much detail as possible to further the common understanding of the character, to enrich their meaning with more substance. However, there is a simple explanation for the names Quas, Wex, and Exhort. The keys on the keyboard that you press for each one are Q, W, and E. As well, if one looks carefully at Invoker's hands, he holds 3 fingers of his left hand up and 2 close together on his right, exactly like if he were to be holding a mouse and keyboard playing Dota. Funny, but oh, how unsatisfying for greater meaning. So I thought, and I realized that each magic word contained the K sound, the phoneme K, otherwise known as a velar plosive. Velar meaning produced by touching your tongue to the soft palate, the back of the mouth. Plosive meaning producing a puff of air out of the mouth when spoken. I then made a connection to the soft palate being furthest back in the mouth, thereby being the closest to the throat chakra, the chakra of self-expression. My analogy went no further than that, but here's the thing, I invoked the ideas of linguistics and chakras by making mention of them. A major idea that Invoker speaks of in the game is the speed of thought. By making a mere mention of 2 ideas, I rush the entire idea to your mind without having to further expand. This is invocation, the ability for words to either refer to or create something bigger. Meant to showing off a bit of my knowledge there. This is the video for showing off. A major part of Invoker's identity is within the player base of the greater community. Invoker is a complicated and difficult hero to play as. Therefore, he is often picked by players wishing to show themselves as skilled, or who find enjoyment through difficult gameplay. Many players remember that one Invoker who they played against, or they remark at the ability of a professional or a good friend to play Invoker. Many Invoker players consider Invoker to be the most fun to play as because he gets access to the most spells out of any character. He's a show-off in-universe, having an extra large amount of dialogue, but unlike any other hero, he'll never recognize any other hero by name. And this is the reason that all the footage I have is of other players. Invoker is a character that can be customized to any situation and made to play in dozens of different ways, buying numerous different items, unlike any other hero. The more a player knows about all of Dota, the better they are at playing Invoker, and that's what makes him so special to the community. There was a common sentiment that before Invoker was released in 2012, Dota 2 was not a worthwhile upgrade from Dota 1. And in Dota 1, Invoker had over 20 spells based on the sequence of orbs per spell. Yeah, imagine that. In my opinion, the reason Invoker has a cosmetic to appear like a know-it-all child is because, to many players, they used to be that know-it-all child, excitingly mastering the arts at a young age. And that's why I am showcasing so many Invokers here, because the skill is... Take a look at my win rate, for example. About 33%. Yeah. He is a tricky one to play, and nothing like riding a bicycle. I got into one game trying to record my own footage and lost spectacularly. I did get 1 kill, and I did learn which spell combos not to use against certain heroes, but other than that, I ended up fruitless. So, here is my idea of what each of the orbs does for Invoker and for his playstyle. You can customize each time you level up and level up one of them. Unlike any other spell, his get about 7 ranks as opposed to the average of 4. So you can keep upgrading these throughout the game to further each spell according to which orb you're upgrading. So Quas does something according to your enemy. Ice preserves the status quo. Wex does something based off of timing. Whenever you cast the spell, usually these spells do something a short while later. Exhort does something based off of your aim. You control the fire. It always does as much damage, but according to how you click it onto the field, it will do damage to that spot. First spell, Cold Snap, QQQ, or Sadron's Protracted Frizzen. Now this one is really good. You use it as an interrupt. I have one of these clips where you interrupt a teleport so that the guy stays in the fight and dies. Now, I had to look up what Protracted Frizzen means, and that means extended chills or fears, otherwise known as goosebumps. I think this is a funny, clever name. Tornado, or QWW, or Claws of Tornaris. This one is very good. It throws a tornado forward, and this is the beginning of where the acronyms start to mean something. So COT, Claws of Tornaris, and if you pronounce it, it sounds like caught. You throw it, you catch them, they're stuck. Ghost Walk, or Myralt's Hindergast, hinder meaning slow, gast meaning ghost. There's not much to say about this one, but it is one of my favorites because you use it so much while panicking. Yeah, really not much to say, but it is fun and a big reason why Invoker is played in the mid, because it makes him a really, 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 really good ganker. EMP, Endelion's Malevolent Perturbation. So EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. You don't get credit for getting that one. It's pretty out there. Alacrity, or Gaster's Mandate of Impetuous Strife, or WWE. Now, this one is what makes Invoker such an interesting character to play in, like, the minutia of Dota. This gives attack speed, just attack speed. I think actually attack power. But the thing is, he can give it to himself, so you could build attack damage on Invoker and be a very physical character, despite being a wizard. Chaos Meteor, or Tarak's Descent of Fire, or WEE. Now, this one, it speaks for itself. You've probably seen it a million times in the video, but just as a fun fact, the community name for it is the Meatball. Sunstrike, or Harlech's Incantation of Incineration. Now, this one shoots anywhere on the map, no matter the distance, and it deals damage spread out amongst whoever it hits, but it can do a lot of damage to one target. This is a very infamous spell, and as a fun fact, the acronym is HIGH. Forge Spirit, or Kulween's Most Cunning Fabrications. This one summons 2 spirits that shred armor when they hit. They're very useful and very strong. I will tell you a fun fact as an Invoker player. It's a common build to put a lot of points into this spell, but it's also very predictable, so look out for that. People will just try to shoot Invoker instead of his spirits. Ice Wall, or Killing Wall of Korix. This one is the difference between a good and a great Invoker. Great Invokers will use this spell. A lot of Invokers won't even use this spell. It is very good, and you can aim it aggressively because it does damage. And finally, Deafening Blast, or Boulafont's Oriole Incapacitator. This one is Q, W, and E all at the same time, and the acronym is BUY because it pushes away and disarms the character. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Definitely try to give Invoker a try. My next video will be about Abaddon.